I was wondering if you could explain that a little bit and like the strategic decision making behind that, and then also how you assess whether it's a success or not. As in, is it there just to build a brand like say Casper where people try it on, or Bonobos try on shop? You can't walk out with any product, but you just try it on, you experience it, and it's a way to build a brand affinity. Or is it more like that's an acquisition channel and you're measuring things with the same metrics?
And I think that's what a big learning was of D2C or ecom over the last 10 years, which is it is not some fundamentally innovative, different business model, right? It is a different sales channel. In the same way, having stores as a sales channel, in the same way, selling on Amazon is a sales channel, in the same way that selling at Nordstrom is a sales channel. There are certain things that are unique to it that maybe allow you to scale in a different way, get eyeballs in a different way that is obviously different from physical retail. But yeah, I totally agree with the fact that, if you're going to become a big brand, you kind of need to be everywhere your consumers are, both online and in person. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon for most businesses that aren't maybe named Amazon. Obviously, there are many brands out there where retail is their primary sales channel. They are trying to have both acquire customers in person and generate profits ultimately on those in-person sales. And then even for some of those businesses, if you unpack it a little further, their store in SoHo in New York, even though they have a massive retail strategy, that store specifically is probably not meant to ever be profitable, right? Just because the real estate is too expensive, right? The rent is too expensive. I mean, those economics don't work, but you have a lot of these big brands with these landmark properties, obviously, which is much more about marketing and brand presence, which supports the rest of the business than it is anything else. And then I think in D2C, a lot of it was experimentation. So for us, again, I'm glad we did it. I would say mixed results. And ultimately, Threadless is a fully online business and chose to close any remaining locations when we became part of Threadless. But for us, we saw others doing it. We're like, okay, this is interesting. Again, it was another one of those like hot things and way to invest those venture dollars to try to understand it. And a lot of it's just testing, right? Just like you're testing Facebook as an acquisition channel, you're testing retail as an acquisition strategy. So it's why pop-ups became so popular, because you could like test it with a bit less financial risk, short-term leases, month to month, whatever it was. So for us, we really thought about it from a branding and marketing perspective. What was interesting though, is our conversion, and I think this is the same for most companies, our conversion was like through this roof. So some of those stores were operating at pretty close to break even, if not like profitable over different periods of time, because our conversion was through the roof. And what we found was, this was always a challenge with our product, was it was hard to really get people to understand the product for us online versus actually holding it in their hands and seeing the design, seeing how they looked like. Because I mean, you can go to that site still right now and pretty crazy designs, right? Like our whole value prop was, these are unique shoes. These are the most unique shoes in the world. So like, don't wear these because you're trying to you're trying not to stand out, right? So that in-person sale was much more visceral for us. In terms of measurement, again, it comes down to like, what are your goals and what is your strategy? If this is to drive revenue and to drive profit, you need to look at, okay, like, how many units am I moving? Like, what are my costs to operate this store? What's my kind of like rent factor? And retail sales is much more, there's somebody much smarter than me told me. I think somebody said this about Starbucks, right? They're really a real estate company. They're not a coffee company or a retail company.
McDonald's.
And that's really what it is. Like, they're really good at squeezing like every dollar out of and finding the best locations to sell a cup of coffee. And so like, if those are your goals, you need to think with that mindset. If your goal is really marketing, you need to be able to understand, okay, how much, how do I tie what's happening in that store to what's happening online?